have to be really quiet.
No, you don't have to be quiet. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it went well. And then I was like, another one of those where I was like, oh, I think we went through it really fast. I didn't have the timer up.
Have to be really
And
quiet.
then when I looked at
No,
the
you
end, I
don't
was
have to
like,
be
how long
quiet.
was it? He was like 32 minutes. I was like, oh, damn. I was shooting for like 15.
There's always so much to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
Hi, everybody.
thank you, DCAT.
Hey.
Cool. So we are live. I will call the meeting to order at 6, though, just to make sure that everybody has time to get logged in.
I'll keep this off screen, but that's what time it is.
I totally understand that. It has been one of those weeks. Amy, hello.
Hello.
We are live. We will start the meeting in about a minute, though.
Sorry, I just realized that this is not my name.
Your name isn't Jonas?
It's okay. I have more than once logged into Zoom and had a background that my 15-year-old chose. So, okay, we are at 6 o'clock. So I am going to call this meeting of the Danvers Accessibility Commission to order. It is 6 p.m. on Thursday, December 12th, 2024, and we do have a quorum. We are meeting today instead of our usual fourth Thursday because our fourth Thursday is very holiday time for people and very difficult for some people to get there. So we're meeting today, and we did not meet in November due to Thanksgiving. So we have quite a bit on the agenda, but hopefully we'll be able to kind of get through it in a timely manner. Thank you to DCAT for being able to join us at a last minute and recording this for us. So our first order of business is the meeting minutes approval. And all of you will notice I did not send the transcribed minutes. Mara did take minutes for us in our October meeting, but the file is by hand and I needed to transcribe it. And it was just not a thing that I was able to get done in the time that I had in all the things. So I apologize for that. I figure that maybe our next meeting in person would be a good time for us to kind of consolidate and regroup from a meeting minutes perspective, because I am also still looking for our September minutes. I have no idea where they are. So hopefully that will be something we can do in January. Fresh start, get all of our minutes approved. So with that, I open up for public comment. It does not seem like we have public today, so we can pretty much zoom right past that. So the next item on our agenda is the middle school connections meetings. And Amy, I don't want to put you on the spot with it, but I would love to get your perspective from that first meeting, and then I can follow up with how things went with this second one. So
sounds good. So there was a meeting with various stakeholders that was held at the middle school. I think in response to, some of the community's feelings about, and I think the school community, the community at large, just regarding our middle school students and how we're engaging students and how we are supporting them, essentially. So there was a meeting that was held last month that had various stakeholders, including the superintendent, the principal of the middle school. There were representatives from the library, from Danvers Recreation, from DEEP. The chief of police was there, Christy was there, I was there as well. And it was really a conversation, I think, of being able to look at and consider how we are as a community engaging and supporting that age group of students at the middle school. And so, there were various ideas kind of thrown out. And I think one of the problems, or I guess issues, is really that engagement piece when children at that age are leaving school and really kind of just going out into the community, and they're not having really necessarily equitable opportunities to have positive interaction and engagement. And so, from the school perspective, they're really looking at, how do we support these students? How do we keep them at school, continuing to engage through some sort of after school opportunity? And really looking at kind of community stakeholders as this starting off conversation around what that might look like. And so, different ideas were kind of thrown out for um, kind of open recreation opportunities, kind of semi structured um, opportunities for students to engage in athletics or art or games, or and looking to see how could various entities in the community support that, so that we could look at a shift in culture and engagement with the students in that age group. Does that kind of summarize it?
That was fantastic. Yes. Yeah, and there was a follow-up meeting yesterday. Slightly smaller group. Um, Superintendent was not able to make it, and a couple other people were not, but mostly focused on, so logistically, what gets done. Right now, the middle school is looking at the potential of creating kind of a teen center space after school, housed at the middle school, because the kids want to stay, but there's nothing for them to, there are activities, there's specific activities, but like there isn't like a hangout space for them. And so they're doing a survey of students and also of caregivers to kind of get the data to one, know what kind of activities the kids would like, but also how much support they'd have from the community for doing something like this. And then recreation is also looking for funding, because the hope is that that they would be able to hire somebody who would work at the middle school, but be the coordinator for this after school teen center kind of opportunity. And so a lot of yesterday was just looking at the survey for students and also talking about what data would they want to find from parents, and then also hearing what the library has been doing in conjunction with the middle school library. So I think it's good progress, and I'm very glad that accessibility has been part of the conversation, so that it's not just let's create more sports programs for one particular group of people, but rather we're thinking about across the board of all different types of abilities and interests. So yeah, I think that's where it stands. Any other thoughts, Amy?
Yeah, I think I thought it was really great. Just I wasn't able to make that meeting yesterday, but it was really great to see just so many different representations throughout the community. And I think that, focusing on that notion of culture and engagement is huge, right? Um, because, I think I spoke in that meeting, and I've spoken in other meetings, that that transition from elementary school to high school, that's really hard for a lot of kids. And, they're trying to find their path. They're trying to figure out who they are. They're, comparing themselves to others of that age group. And there's this rapid phase of development. And I think we all kind of know, the biology and the science around that. But there hasn't been, like I said, a really equitable opportunity um for students, right? And I think, there was discussion about going back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and really looking at what children need for engagement at that age, and looking at how we can meet those needs in a really more proactive versus reactive space. And how do we include like Chrissy said, people of all different abilities in that context.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I thought it's really great that this is kind of starting to become.
Yeah, it is. I'm really hoping that we get to a place where we kind of have maybe even a youth committee or a commission in town, so that it's not just we're reacting to a situation, but rather that we're able to be proactive for every new cohort of youth. Um, so every time we talk, I kind of bring it up again. It's like, hey, there's this opportunity. I think one of the concerns or one of the just logistical issues is that it's a hard time to talk about finance and funding because we have an interim town manager, and generally speaking, with interims, they try to keep everything the same, keep everything kind of just running as is before making any big changes. And so, what does that look like? It's hard to know at this point. That was part of the conversation yesterday too, kind of like where do we go from here? But it's a need, and there have been many situations that have proven the need, and so I'm glad that we are part of that conversation. Any questions or anything from this? I know that I don't even think we had this on the agenda for October because we didn't even know it existed. So in November was just this whirlwind. So yeah, have any questions from the rest of the commission?
I was at the Danvers Cares meeting on Monday.
Ah, fantastic.
And
Good.
so I kind of feel like there was some crossover here. I mean, I'm sure there were some of the same people at both meetings. But they have, they have their kind of like high school committee group, like student committee that kind of does similar-ish things. And I know they go and talk to the middle school. So I don't know if there's maybe a way for them to kind of help create this kind of student committee. But another one of the things we were talking about was the idea of like trusted adults, and if there could be not necessarily like a big brother type thing, but like a trusted adult who would like volunteer to maybe teach a skill after school or
Yeah.
something like that, or give like a little, I don't know, like presentation or educational thing, or take the kids on a little adventure around the green. I don't know, just thought
That concept did come up because the middle school principal talked about the trusted adult survey that they did for the middle school recently. But also in the survey that they want to send out to caregivers, they want to ask kind of how would you like to also participate in this, so that it's not just this small group of people kind of pulling something together, but rather we're asking the community, like, you have skills, you have finances or whatever resources to offer. How would you like to be involved? And so they're hoping that maybe some people may want to volunteer. Like maybe there's somebody who's a chef and wants to do a cooking class, or that could be part of the picture. And I love the idea with the high school. So that we talked about that in the first meeting too, a little bit about having kind of peer mentors from the high school be part of whatever evolves.
yeah, because I was thinking about that. I could do like a Photoshop class or something.
Ah,
Teach
awesome.
kids how
Yeah.
to do like some photography, editing, or digital art.
Well, I'll definitely pass her name on because
I
I'm
I was sad to miss the meeting yesterday because I had a conversation just this past weekend with a local business owner.
mm,
Um, they're young professionals that own a gym in town that has recently located to town. And so and they have middle schooler themselves. So even having conversations with them about, and they started talking about the importance of mentorship
mhm,
and having adults that kids can really relate to,
mhm.
and adults that can understand them and their perspective, which is very different than sometimes, that adult that with a level of deference for this is my teacher, or this is this is this person who is on the hierarchy
Right.
of telling me what to do. And so
Yep.
that level of engagement and talking about, them potentially and being interested volunteering their time to be able to engage students, whether it's in fitness training or, boxing or like things like that, that would speak to the kids as well.
No, I
Yeah,
mean,
hell yeah.
that's a huge issue. And actually, what's funny is it's hard to see it this, but I have this book sitting here. It's One Trusted Adult by Brooklyn Rainey. And it's about building connections and healthy boundaries with young people, but specifically for anybody who works in youth services. Yeah, no, it's incredibly necessary for teen development. And again, like I'm glad that we're part of that conversation. So I think we didn't schedule a next meeting, but I anticipate it'll be sometime in January, and they'll reach out. So if anybody is, interested, I think right now, like Amy and I have it, but I'm also like, if I don't need to be the person who's there. So if somebody's really passionate about it, they have been meeting around 3:15 in the afternoons, which is a little bit of a challenge. But let me know if that's something that you're interested in. We can always kind of do a trade out too. So any
Yeah,
last?
yeah. You let me know when you know that when those meetings are going on, because I would be
Yeah.
interested.
Okay, cool. Any last questions or comments about middle schoolers?
I
I
mean,
feel like I could probably.
kind of tacked onto that is I met with Whitney over, I think she works for the high school or middle school, I'm not sure. But we're doing like little videos of kind of breaking down the survey information with context with like a voiceover for like the youth risk behavioral surveys. I
Oh,
don't know
cool.
if there's value that you guys see in any of the surveys you were going over to kind of get that out there to the public, but that's something we could do if you think there's
Okay,
value.
it's good to know. I think the one that we were talking about yesterday was internal for middle school, so they were like pushing it out through like the kids devices and doing it in their rise blocks,
Oh, okay.
but definitely, yeah, we'll keep that in mind. I don't know, and I assume that they would send the caregiver one out through their regular emails, but if they need help with that, that's a
Sure.
good idea. Cool. Okay. Somewhat related, the next item on the agenda is the joint crisis response team. So this came out of a conversation JD and I had with the chair of the Human Rights and Inclusion Committee. So JD, like if you want to give kind of an overview of our conversation and like what the idea was.
Yeah, so we met with Paul at Brothers, and just kind of talked about the idea of timing in like if some kind of event or crisis happens and having like a response to that, or just having kind of like some sort of ready to go response and maybe forming like a subcommittee to kind of deal with something like that. And I sent him the one we had kind of worked on as a group, related to Ducky, although it was like much. No, I guess it was related to that, but it kept it somewhat vague. And that was kind of just about creating, yeah, just a way for us to get the word out to offer support when something in the community does happen like that. I mean, is that kind of the gist of it?
Yeah, and I mean Jasmine had actually like kind of floated the idea right before she left too, was that one, when it comes to there being a situation or an instance or an event in town that needs a response from either Accessibility Commission or Human Rights and Inclusion, it seems to take a while because we're kind of like doing big committee kind of conversations. Um, and she suggested having smaller task force of some sort, one or two people from each committee to work together to do something. And so what we talked about was having maybe a few like kind of boilerplate templates available that can be edited and adjusted quickly within the group, and then also individuals who'd be able to maybe go to a meeting that, an ad hoc meeting, or if they're, or go head to be at the select board meeting if there is something happening there. And so it would be for us, it could be no more than 2 people on that. The Human Rights and Inclusion Committee is bigger than us, so I don't know what they would choose, and they have to vote on it. We would also need to vote on it, but yeah, so it would be an opportunity for doing joint work with the Human Rights and Inclusion Committee. So, anything else you want to add, JD?
No, I mean, I think that was pretty much it. I mean, it would just, I mean, should we take, when do you think we should kind of generate our 2 people for the subcommittee?
I think we could vote on it tonight, that if that's something that the commission would like to do, and maybe make a selection in January. Since we don't have everybody here, I hesitate to make that a final decision, but
Right.
but definitely can have interest. Oh man, I just realized we need to be taking minutes. Hold on a second. I knew there was a reason I needed to have. Okay, I think what I'll do is just type into the minutes. So if that's something we decide to do, then like I said, we'll have to start by taking a vote.
I think it sounds like a good idea. You know, just being able to, like, even from like a logistical piece, it's like really timely. At work today, we actually had a whole presentation at our management meeting about crisis response. So it's
Oh,
very
cool.
timely. Um, so, but, I think one of the big takeaways that I had from that meeting was really about, the timeliness of response because of the perceptions of the community, and being able to manage a, crisis situation, which could be, on a number of different levels, right?
Yeah.
So I think it does make sense, since we meet monthly, to be able to have an opportunity to respond in a more timely manner.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just gonna be a couple of us anyway, and it's probably gonna be like, what, maybe a couple meetings where we generate a couple pre-made, templates, and
Yeah.
then it just makes it quicker when it gets to that point. So you can just kind of, play ad lib
Exactly.
with it.
Yeah. We already have a lot of really good language too, because JD came up with a number of drafts, like options, and I think a lot of those things can be used in a variety of places, with obviously specifics of if any, with whatever happens or what's going on. And it's not just about like releasing press releases, but also rather like being a voice for accessibility when people are discussing what is happening in town. So that if there's a select board meeting, Amy did an amazing job showing up. It wasn't like official commission business, but like that's the type of thing I think could be part of this joint task force, is going to public meetings and saying, hey, let us all remember this, and pulling in accessibility as part of that conversation. So I think Lauren or Fawn, you have any comments or questions, or Karen?
No.
Okay. So then what we would need is somebody to make a motion to say, yes, we would like to do this. And then we'll have to take a vote.
Okay, motion to, yes, I would like to do this.
Okay. So we have a motion to jointly create a crisis response team with the Human Rights and Inclusion Commission. A motion made by JD. Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, Karen, a second. Okay, all in favor, either speak or show.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I have all in favor. Awesome. Thank you very much. Okay, so we will can let JD, do you want to let Paul know that
Oh,
that we
yeah,
did?
I can let Paul know.
Okay, awesome. The next Human Rights and Inclusion Committee meeting is next Thursday, December 19th at 7 p.m. I do plan to be there. There's a separate call kind of from them that they think that there may be some opposition showing up. So anybody who is available and supportive of inclusion and equity work in town is encouraged to show up. But I don't know that this is something that's on their agenda, but but JD, but by reaching out, that may help them decide if it's on the agenda or not. So
Cool.
awesome.
Christy, I'm sorry,
Yes.
this is Fawn. Could you
Yeah.
repeat the date and time of that meeting, please?
Yes, sorry. The next Human Rights and Inclusion Committee meeting is December 19th, next Thursday at 7 p.m.
Thank you.
And they are in person in the Toomey room at Town Hall. Okay, so the next item on our agenda is the crosswalk mural. And I know, Fawn, you said you didn't have an update, but that anything you have is valid to our meeting. So,
Well, at this point, I think I need help because I don't
Okay.
really understand what's happened. Aaron Henry, when I reached out to him when JD and I met, and then I reached out to him, he was immediately responsive and, my own word, effusive in his support of this through multiple emails. And I have not been able to have him respond to an email since the first two I got from him. He had said he was going to talk with the people, and it was a well-timed, I think I gave this update again. I won't bore you with repeating it. But basically he thought it was going to be great. And we had the support already of the art teacher, and it seemed like it was going to move forward. And then I haven't been able to meet with him. He had said, yes, let's schedule a meeting. I've reached out multiple times, most recently just a few days ago. Nothing, no response. So I would love suggestions from anyone who maybe better understands how town hall communication should work. If there's something I should do, it's not as if I'm getting an autumn reply saying he's on vacation, or
yeah.
I haven't heard of any positions changing, in that department. So I'm not sure what to do next. I don't want to let it go, but I also don't want to keep pestering him in a way that maybe it's not appropriate. I'm kind of puzzled.
No, what's interesting is I actually had a conversation with Karen Griesdorf of the HRSC yesterday, and they are, I guess, in the works of possibly having a bench that was kind of like a sit here and have conversations with people type of thing, and also involved with in communication with Aaron, and have had the same issue. So I don't think that it's this project. I think maybe there must be other things going on. I do know that this is budget season, which is incredibly difficult work at times in getting things prepared to go before the finance committee. That's my only guess, but I mean, I will make a note to check in with our liaison and see if they know anything. I can pop on by tomorrow maybe and ask them.
I'm happy to continue to be a point person and to
Yeah.
reach out and communicate.
I
I don't know what else.
yeah.
I don't know what else to do
No,
at
no,
this
yeah.
point, other than email him and not get an answer.
Right.
So I don't know what to do.
No, and I don't want to take that on. I am happy with the work that you've been doing. It's fantastic. I think that a lot of things have stalled. So
Okay.
I can ask from kind of a general perspective, like, hey, how is everything in town hall? What should we know about like projects and how are they going forward? So because I think that we are not the only organization that is kind of meeting with this kind of friction. So
yeah, any feedback you have is appreciated. I've always, over the years or multiple things, I've found him incredibly responsive. So I've just sort of been
No, yeah,
don't know how to, deal with this, I guess.
yeah. I mean, there's always like sometimes, the whole Occam's razor thing, like that the simplest answer is it, and maybe he forgot his out of office.
Yeah,
Like,
but
and
it's
is
been
that
weeks.
actually, yeah. Oh, okay.
It's been weeks.
Darn, I was hoping.
I know.
Which is okay. Um, well, thank you. I appreciate that, and I appreciate your continued like involvement in this. Excuse me. Because I do think it's really exciting.
Me too.
And I will keep my fingers crossed. So
Yeah,
okay.
maybe we just set like a reminder to reach back out to him like after the new year.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just this like holiday stretch. I don't know.
Okay.
I'll put that in
Uh,
my calendar.
Okay.
Next is Seen and Heard. JD, tell us about the new episode.
Oh yeah. So yep, did a new episode with Jenna, and she was great. I think I was saying before that I think I was a little like ignorant going in, thinking I could just like I like feel like I had this idea where I was like, oh, I'll just go in, kind of meet them there, and then it will feel more organic. But in reality, it just felt like I was kind of like caught with my pants down. Like, I was like not really fully prepared for like an intellectual disability conversation, I think, which I didn't even realize that my questions kind of felt more leaning towards like physical disabilities or like mobility based disabilities. Obviously I have a bias, but um, I think it went really well. I mean, it was a one of those conversations where I kept thinking like, oh, we just got through everything really quick. I should ask more questions. And then by the time we were done, we were like over 30 minutes, and I was like, oh wow, I had zero like accurate concept of time when we were doing that. So I'm gonna start running the clock again. But I felt like it was a good conversation and interesting, especially because it kind of made me come up with new questions on the fly. So I'll have to kind of come up with a new set of questions that kind of cater more towards like, yeah, intellectual disabilities and stuff that isn't really related to how your body might feel, or like um yeah, mobility stuff, or how people see you. I mean, there's still that element of like the imposter syndrome, the invisible disability that I was able to kind of talk about with her. And
Mm.
that's always interesting because everybody always has interesting stories and stuff they've dealt with through that. But I thought it went great. She was really happy with it. I sent it to her before I put it up to get her approval. And it was nice because we talked about her art as well, and kind of I was able to help promote that, which is nice.
That's fantastic.
And like, the previous episode was kind of like a promotional one too. I can't remember if we talked about the rest stop
Oh
ramp
yeah, you're
one,
right. Yeah, we missed
but
a
that
meeting.
one went
So
really well as well, and that was also a pretty long one too. But right as of right now, I don't have a next guest lined up. I've had a couple people reach out to me, but then they don't respond when I respond to them. So, we'll see. I'm like usually just kind of very like no pressure on it. So right now I'm just looking for a guest. I have some people who have kind of like reached out to me, but then I've talked to them and they've kind of been like, I don't know, maybe. And like other people have just volunteered, other like a family member, and then without telling the family member, and then I talked to the family member and they're like, yeah, no. So, we'll see. But yeah, I think it went well. And yeah, I think that's all I got for Seen and Heard for now.
I think kind of a call to action then for this commission is if you know anybody. I know that each of us have, or a few of us have done that in the past already. So, but if you know anybody who might be interested in being a guest, definitely let JD know, because I think this is a
When would,
fantastic way. Oh, Karen, yeah, go ahead, Karen.
just when would he be looking to do it again?
I usually shoot the episodes on Fridays. So really like most Fridays are
So,
available.
but like after the new year, or are you looking, or?
Honestly, literally any Friday. So it could be tomorrow. I would be ready to shoot an episode. Or it could be after the new year, you know, whatever people are comfortable with. I try to
I'm
be
just thinking, potentially I would, but it's just so busy right now with the Christmas season.
yeah.
So it would definitely have to be sometime in January.
Oh yeah, that's no problem.
So I will, I mean, I think you have my information as well,
I do, yeah.
but, okay. So if you want to pop a connect with me after the new year though, because right now it's just very overwhelming.
Oh yeah, totally.
So,
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. Yeah, no pressure at all. I mean, I don't want you to feel like you're on the spot about it, but yeah, I'll reach out to you in January about it. And then yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a nice rate that I'm not like pumping them out because then I feel like I'm more invested in them right now. Like I don't want to hit the point, I guess, where I'm like kind of just going through the motions. But I don't think it would necessarily get to that point. But it feels very like manageable right now, which is nice.
Perfect. Good. Thank you. Okay. Any last questions about seen and heard? Then we can move on to our next one item, which is the planning department had a transportation focus group for town employees. I was invited, and at the last minute, I couldn't go. I didn't find somebody to go in my stead, but I did get they did include me or keep me on the email list for the follow-up, which was great. And so what they're trying to do is look at kind of what is the need for transportation within the community. And so they're doing kind of like a large scale community needs assessment for transportation, starting with this focus group with town employees and then moving to surveys and other data gathering from the rest of the community. And so they had already kind of created a project goal and context. And so their project is the goals for this were to identify community transportation needs, determine barriers for implementing transportation related changes, develop recommendations for the town and to meet and or further study community needs and to meet Mass General Law 41, Section 81D, which I did not look up in time, so I apologize for that. But they do, you know, making sure that that our town has the transportation necessary. And again, they included accessibility, which is fantastic. And so I have this PDF. I will share it out with the commission. I wanted to kind of have this context first before I sent it. But a couple of things that I thought were really interesting is that they highlighted what the existing situation and existing conditions are within town. And they had some data points, which were 650 households do not own a vehicle in Danvers. 13% of renter households do not own a vehicle. 40% of households are seniors who live alone. Seniors will make up about 1/3 of residents by 2030. 28% of households have children, and 20% of people in town have a disability. And so their priority populations are people who don't own a vehicle, renters, seniors, children and families, and people with disabilities, which is like a lot of people. So it's good that they're considering all of these populations. But the kind of the challenges obviously that exist are that we have a very limited fixed route bus service, lack of convenient transit to the commuter rail, and most of the transportation that is available is focused on the mall, not where people are living. And so they are really hoping to kind of create more walkable trips. So that's part of that is with downtown revitalization and adding of businesses that are benefit for people, you know, living within a walking distance of the downtown area. So yeah, then the rest was kind of, they had a discussion, which was kind of, does this analysis reflect your experience and what information is missing? And the notes from that, I did try to go through, they were a little harder to understand because they hadn't fully kind of synthesized them yet. but they're really kind of looking on a bunch of different recommendations from past plans, which included parking, active types of transportation, walking, biking, scooters, mobility devices, transit connectors, kind of other transportation between what we downtown and places like the commuter rail. So like kind of like what the Salem Skipper is doing now, but maybe
Yeah.
in a more formalized manner. And then looking at like energy and other issues there. So their next steps are they're going to have additional focus groups in December, January. I'm hoping that gives an opportunity for some of us to be part of that. And so I'm going to make sure that as much as possible, I get that information out to all of you as soon as I have a date. This one was kind of like they did not really a doodle, but kind of a like who is available. And by the time I filled it out, there were like no dates available that I could make. I will definitely share that out faster. And then the community survey is going to be out in January or February. No matter what, we have an opportunity to be part of that conversation through the community data gathering. And just as an aside, for those of you who are ever on social media where people are complaining about parking in town, some of the data in a different part of it says that like basically parking in town is underutilized. Oh, there it is. Parking supply downtown is underutilized. And our parking requirements and zoning exceed industry standards. So, just a little bit of information. We have quite a bit of parking in town, even if people are complaining about it.
Christy,
yeah.
Did they talk in the report or the findings that you read through about how they're planning to engage getting seniors to weigh in on the next phase of the survey? Because it just occurs to me that by choosing town employees, they've
You're right.
not going to include that cohort kind of at all.
No, that's a really good question. I'm guessing that they're hoping that their community outreach reaches seniors, and so, this all Brian, hold on, his last name I always Zakelli, from planning, is the one who's leading this, and I definitely will make sure that like one of the things I say is like this has to go to a senior housing. We need to be at the senior center as part of this conversation, so that I do think that that's part of their goal because they do have them listed as a priority population. But I think this first round was, just looking at the list of people who are on it, it's mostly planning, zoning, and land use. We're part of this. So I think that they plan to go out further. So it's and police, because I see Jamie Lovell on here too. So it definitely was very small focus group.
The other thing too
Thanks.
is that when they bring it to the senior population, they need to deliver it in such a way that they're able to complete the actual survey as well, because some of
Yes.
them may not have computer skills or access.
Yes, absolutely.
So maybe that's another place where hopefully we can help make that bridge of accessibility.
Right, because I'm wondering if
Yeah.
it would be inappropriate for us to reach out to the new director of the senior center who attended one of our meetings to perhaps encourage him to reach out to them at this phase so that as the survey is being developed, it can really,
Actually, is Matt Mitchell the new?
I can't remember his name, really young guy. who
I
came-
think that was it. I think that was
Because if
it.
that's true, he was on this.
Oh, beautiful.
I
Okay.
just their names are here, but not their departments. So I only
Thank
called out
you.
the ones I recognize at first. Hold on, I can. Oh, yep. Introduction and question. Yes, Matt Mitchell. So yes, so they did have senior center there. So I think that from that perspective, definitely. But I think the point about being able to like fill out the survey is a really important one because, there are so many different barriers to access when it comes to surveys, especially online surveys. So
Online, and not
Karen,
only
thank you.
that, but large print, because a lot of
Yes,
them
yeah,
deal with
absolutely.
vision issues, and just in
Yeah.
general, that for me, that's beneficial.
Yeah.
So
I'm just
I
taking
guess,
notes.
it's key that we are a part of it, and to be able to offer our insight to how to make it accessible for everyone in the community.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was my experience doing voter registration and voter registration checks at the senior center. I had an iPad with me because that's the fastest way to identify going through the State Department. And for the most part, I did the typing and clicking as seniors told me the information, because the iPad just wasn't a good format. Yeah, so thank you for that, Karen. I made my notes, and hopefully I'll remember them when I'm writing this up. Any other questions about this? About transportation? And Lauren, it's okay. I totally understand. We have had HVAC people here today, and my dog was not very happy while I was teaching a workshop. So, and like I said, I will share this out with everybody, just kind of blind copy. So again, similar to any other of our email communications, you can respond to me individually. We just can't have a conversation about it online. So I lost my agenda. Hold on. Oh, nope, that's not the agenda. Sorry, guys. Okay, there it is. Oh, still me. Oh, but look, we're right on time. It says 6:45, and it is 6:45. Next steps. Okay, I did want to give you guys an update on where things stand with the commission with regard to town hall. When Jasmine left, she left me instructions on how to get agendas posted, where our materials were, and a few kind of recommendations on some other things. Our point person that she gave me is leaving at the end of December.
Oh, goodness.
Yes. And I actually knew that was a possibility. His position was grant funded, and is not being renewed. And so with the posting of this agenda, I followed all the steps that we needed to follow, and didn't hear anything. So then I sent it to the clerks, to the town clerk, and got a response that it is the liaison's job to do that, and our liaison department is HR. So the conversation continued, and we are, hold on, Juliani, who is in the HR department. I just want to get her title, so I didn't get, oh, she doesn't have it. Make sure I had her title. I didn't want, I don't know what her title is right now, but Juliana in the HR department and Philippe are going to be our contacts for posting meetings and making sure we have room reservations. I feel a little not uncomfortable, but I worry about that because they already have so much on their plate. For them to be given one more thing to do. And so my hope is that I endeavor to make sure that I get everything in super early, so that it's not onerous for them at all. And so going forward, my goal will be to get our agendas into them the Friday before a meeting. So the week before, they have to be posted Tuesday before. But if there's an HR emergency or there's something going on, I don't want that what we're doing to ever kind of get in the way of things that they need to do. And so I'm just going to set up calendar reminders for myself for that. But I wanted to give you all a heads up that I'll be asking for agendas kind of 2 weeks before our meeting items, which means that we may end up having more kind of new business stuff happen during meetings, which I think is okay. We don't, I mean, we're not doing the type of business that people get really angry about in meetings, generally speaking. But I mostly just wanted you to know that. And then I'm gonna just keep following up with people at town hall and saying, hey, what's happening? My guess is that they likely won't post for or even consider filling the DEI position until there's a new town manager. Even though there is funding still available. And so, yeah, I think it just means that we're still kind of hovering in this liminal space until there are more final decisions about things.
So what is your guess? Do you think they're gonna refill the position or no?
It really depends on who they hire as a town manager. I think right now, especially as we go into a new presidential administration in January, the term DEI is not supported in a lot of places, even though the work is so incredibly necessary. And I think that the field of who is available are really burnt out. And so I don't know what that means for our town and our commission. So I don't think anybody's suggesting that we don't exist. It just means that we are kind of this like little, we're on the side. And I think it just means we have to keep speaking up and keep pushing. The good news is that we've already made some really amazing connections with planning, with land use, with the schools, with the library. And so we just continue to remind them that we're here for them, and that we can be advisors, we can be partners, and maybe it means we're not kind of coming up with new projects for a little while, but rather continuing with what we have and then asking people, what are you working on and how can we make that more accessible? So all the more reason for us to start also maybe just attending other town committee meetings. So, showing up to a zoning meeting or showing up to housing. And when they have public comment saying, hi, I'm here from the Accessibility Commission. We just want to remind you that we exist and we are here for you. We want to make sure that Danvers is accessible in all ways possible. Let us help you. And then hopefully come March, we will have a better sense of where things stand and what the next big next step is for our commission.
How would this potentially affect something like when we did the disability forums, for example?
So what that impacts is we have no budget. And we were using the budget under the DEI director. And so that budget still exists. I assume it is under the purview of HR. I may I had an email exchange with Juliana today. Fridays are hard because they're really short, it's a shortened day for them. But one thing I want to do is kind of get on her schedule and say, hey, what do you know about this? What do you think we can do? I think for right now, we can't really plan anything without knowing where funding could come from. Unless it's something that's like a joint partnership with the library and they are able to fund it, or joint partnership with the schools. So like the stuff that we did last year, those public forums, for the most part, didn't cost anything. We could do that. The living room conversations cost in the range of like $700 each.
And that kind of like the ASL translators and
part of that, but also Lauren and the Heathmere Center.
oh right, yeah,
yeah, yeah. So the Heathmere Center, as the facilitators and creators of that program, were paid for those. Each of the ASL interpreters, and and then the snacks and printing, but those were absorbed elsewhere, so wasn't an issue for this round. But yeah,
Because I was really just thinking like if it would be something that I don't know. It's like I go to the Danvers Cares meeting, but I don't necessarily have like a relationship with the students
yeah.
yet, and like they would be a good group I think to talk to at least from like a promotional standpoint. But until I kind of can get in front of them, I think it's not nothing yet.
And I think from getting involved with the students' perspective, it might be worth reaching out to some of the extracurricular organizations at the high school. I don't know. There's which one is it? What's the name of the group that did the games and that Isaiah was part of? Do you know, Fawn?
I don't. I
Okay.
was just, sorry.
That
on that.
group, they lost their advisor, but I think that they are still meeting. But there are other diversity groups within the high school that if we could figure out who their advisors are and reach out to them, that's an opportunity too. So I don't think that this means our work stops. It just means we have to have a different approach for how we're doing things. Maybe not lean so heavily on need to do marketing at the town level, but really maybe more of the on the ground conversations with other committees. And Fawn, did you have a question? Did you want to?
No, just
Oh.
unmuting for the, for the
Okay.
fun of it.
I like that. Any questions or thoughts about this?
Nope.
I think this is also something we can mull for a little while too. I think the nature of our work is not a lot of emergencies, which is good. And so it gives us a little bit of space to kind of think about how do we approach what needs to be done. So if you have specific thoughts and you want to talk about it, we can always set up a meeting to chat, or you can send me an email. I'm open to any kind of ideas too. If there's something you're like, I really would like to kind of go out to this group and talk to them or, connect. I think any of that is a possibility. So, yeah, I just noticed the time. So I also want to be cognizant of our schedule. Sorry. Also, just as an aside, earbuds don't work in my ears. And so that's why I keep pushing them in. Oh, do you have a solution?
Yes, I have the smallest ears on the planet, and I found a pair of like wireless that actually I can use.
Oh, we'll have to talk. I usually have to find over the ear, and they don't make them anymore.
Yeah, no,
But,
they
just-
actually work because nothing stays in my ears.
Yeah, same. I wonder if it's part of the whole connective tissue stuff.
Yes.
Okay. Our next item is new business. Anything come up? No.
I do have one thing.
Mhm.
At my meeting today, I think, work related and one of the things in this meeting that I was in is the director of the assistive technology department,
Yes.
Reba Khan, who I think most everybody has met through living room conversations. She was talking about an initiative that her division, I don't know, call her division, is working on, and it's specifically related to seniors and assistive technology. I can't remember exactly what she called it, but they're starting to run a very, 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 very small pilot program in collaboration with assistive tech to support seniors and staying at home.
Cool.
And so if anybody comes across anyone who potentially could utilize assistive tech could need assistive tech in the aging population, that might be interested in being part of the pilot, please let me or Reba know if you have her contact information, and I'm happy to connect you with her if you don't have it. So I thought that was really
Awesome.
cool because it's, something we've talked about, how, disability really impacts and accessibility really impacts everyone, especially as people age, right, across the lifespan. And so I thought it was really cool that she was talking about that pilot and that, the agency is invested in seeing this, off. So.
That's fantastic. Thank you. I love hearing that. So I wrote that down. If you have any additional details about that to put in the minutes, feel free to send it to me because I can do that. My plan for this weekend is to catch up on minutes. Okay, other new business? No. Okay, so then if we have no other new business, I am open to a motion to adjourn. We are the most efficient commission ever.
I move to adjourn.
Okay.
I second that.
On second, JD at 6:59 p.m. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Karen. I don't know if-
Did you not hear me? Sorry.
I must not have. Thank you. Okay,
Yeah,
cool. I just wanted to make
I
sure
did.
we didn't leave
Sorry.
you out. Got it. And so we are adjourned. Still 6:59 p.m.
Thank you, everybody.
Fantastic job, everybody.
you.
Thank you. And thank you
Have a
to
nice
the
night.
holiday,
staff.
everyone.